The Spectator, September 1908. The Passing of the Red Man. Written by Jacob A. Dell. Have you ever, in park or zoological gardens, seen a specimen of the almost extinct American bison or buffalo? It is a sight to be proud of and to long remember, for the next generation will look in vain for a sight of this magnificent animal, and it will not be there. As you note his heavy shoulders and grand head, look for a moment in those deep eyes. Do you see the expression of sadness there? The look of almost reproach as he stares at the bare, dry ground before him, then raises that wonderful head and sniffs at the air. What does he see? He is beholding once more the limitless prairies. He is running again with countless thousands of his fellows, knee-deep in the tender grass, and he is remembering, with the instinct of many generations of bison ancestors, the freedom of the plains, the freedom that belonged to his race before the time of the white man, when this land was the land of the bison and of the red man. The Indian, too, is almost extinct. Together, these two, a race of men and a race of animals, have met their fate under the heels of fast-moving civilization. About 3 centuries ago, there came from Europe to America the advance guard of a great host. On the eastern shore of the country, they found a meager foothold, and for a while, poor, almost to starving, they stayed there only by the grace of that heritage of the white race, their indomitable pluck and determination. From the first footsteps on this soil, they came in contact with a strange race. That race the Columbus had misnamed Indians about a century before. Oh, had that freedom-loving race been able to look forward a few hundred years, would they have welcomed to their shores this people? Would they have brought them food during those first cruel winters of famine? Would they not rather have striven them with bare hands to drive those intruders away, to push their very boats from the sands? The North American Indian and his fate has elicited the sympathy of the world. A short time ago, as the world reckons, they lived in undisputed possession of a broad, fair land. Theirs was the happiness of perfect freedom. Their braves were strong, their women fair to look upon, their land a paradise. Can you not picture to yourself their Arcadian life? Here, in a wooded valley, is one of their encampments beside the clear brooks. It is evening, and the women are busy about their numerous campfires as the sun sinks slowly behind the western rim of the valley, and the twilight follows its disappearance. The shouts and laughter of the children at play bring many a smile to the faces of the mothers as they pause in their work to watch the youngsters. The old men sit quietly by the fires, smoking their long stone pipes filled with the fragrant weed tobacco kinnikinnick. They are dreaming of the time when they were young, when they were the leaders in the hunt and in the dances. But hark, here before the young men out of the forest at the head of the valley with meat upon their shoulders for many days to come. The hunt has been successful, as their loud shouts plainly show, and the whole camp is aroused. The dogs bark from every wigwam, and the children, breaking off their games, run like little wild creatures that they are, to meet fathers and brothers and uncles in the advancing band of hunters. Many a fawn-eyed wife waits impatient for the approach of her stalwart husband, for he will be tired, and she may minister to his needs. And what a scene of joy their evening meal is! It is almost a feast, for the choicest meat is being eaten now. Laughter re-echoes through the valley, and now and then a friendly shout from one group to another. Then, as the fires die down, the youngsters gather to listen to a tale of wonder that one of the old men tells, out of the great store of tribal traditions. Finally, all is still, and the pale moon rising over the eastern hill finds only the dead ashes of the fires, and here and there a prowling shadow, as the dogs search for the remains of the feast. Peace, deep and still, rests o'er the camp of the red men. Such was their simple life, contented and happy, before they were dreamed of white-faced, bearded foreigners. And now, what is their life now? One can hardly call it a life at all. It is almost living death. Dirty, degraded, their proud spirits broken, their dignity seeming almost ludicrous in so abject a people that they live on the bounty of a race that they despise, and with good reason. Where once they roamed the land at will, finding new beauties of forest, field, and streams at every step, they now are confined within the narrow bounds of the reservations. Their children grow up in ignorance of their noble traditions. The skins of animals no longer clothe them in wild beauty. The scanty rags of cast-off clothing hide their starved bodies and thin bodies that once were sleek, were smooth, and they were graceful. The art of woodcraft is forgotten, and agriculture they hold in contempt. Once a year they come to draw their pitiful annuity, and go back to their wretched hovels to drink the white man's whiskey and to wait for nothing other than death. And death is coming to the race. And why should they wish to bear children and perpetuate their shame? They were the proudest peoples of the earth, and their dignity is one of the last of their qualities to leave them. Few of their children reach maturity. They live in unhealthy conditions, far different from the open-air, healthful life their ancestors lived before the Europeans ruined the neighborhood. Even their little store of herb wisdom, sufficient for the slight ailments of a people accustomed to the outdoor life, is lost to them now. They are dying out. Their campfires are no longer gleaming through the trees at night. The woods have forgotten the shouts of the returning hunter. The streams are no longer proud to bear their swift canoes and feel the caressing touch of the paddle as it dips and rises and flashes in the sunlight. A few decades and they may be gone altogether. We cannot help it. It is too late. Only in the undying literature of these centuries of struggle will our children and our children's children learn of the existence of this brave and noble race. And is it our fault? Are our forefathers to blame? No, it was inevitable that in the building of a nation that should be known as a haven of liberty for men of every nation, this nation that valued freedom more than life should perish and fade from among the peoples of the earth. From Central Asia to hordes that poured over into Europe, nations that withstood them were wiped from the face of the earth. And even Europe was too small after a while, for in the blood of the Caucasian race, there is something that drives them on and over mountains, oceans, even over whole nations that stand in their way. And so not even the Atlantic Ocean could restrain them when once they learned that on the other side there was a new land to conquer and to people. The eastern border of our land was sufficient for a time, but with the crowding of their brethren, the adventurous blood of the settlers drove them farther and farther west. Over the mountains they crept and down the Ohio River Valley, until presently the Father of the Water was met. That they not have stopped at the Mississippi. Could they not at least have divided the land with its owners? No, on over the grassy prairies to the mountains again, and over the mountains to the coast. The red man has met his doom. He stepped in the path of an advancing civilization and was swept away like the first inhabitants of England and Scotland. Farewell, proud race. You have seen your day, and long after you have been forgotten, the sons of your white persecutors will rise and flourish and grow great in this land, in your land, the home of your forefathers, the land of the white man's descendants.